I think that Deeb has, built his success around the World Series of Poker, and the fact that his volume is so high, he's going to probably pass Hellmuth. I don't doubt that at all.
It's the PokerNews Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 982 of the PokerNews Podcast. I'm Chad Holloway, joined by Mike Holt, Ben Ludlow, and our special guest this episode, Matt Savage. Thanks, Matt, for taking the time. I know you've been a busy man.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. A lot of charity events, a lot of things going on with the TDA Summit.
And you had to tell your wife on her birthday, I'm going down to film a podcast with the
Yes,
guys.
I did. It's her birthday today. Happy
birthday, Marianne.
Happy birthday.
We have a lot to talk about. We're going to touch on Shaun Deeb finally breaking through and winning a bracelet, not a runner-up finish like he's been doing, which now gives him Player of the Year lead. We're going to talk about the TDA, the Tournament Directors Association Summit. I was over there. We'll get into some of that and some highlights. And then I want to talk Poker Hall of Fame, a topic you and I have talked about many times over the years. And let's just start with Shaun Deeb. This wasn't going to be the top of the story, but late last night, he ends up winning the bracelet number 9, takes down, I think it was, what tournament was it? The Big Bet?
1,508 game.
8 game. $181,000. Of course, it's not about the money for him. He wants the bracelet. He wants the Player of the Year title. And this comes after a couple big name winners we haven't talked about. Rampage won a bracelet, his second bracelet.
Crazy.
Wow.
Beat Mateo's heads up.
I didn't know that.
He beat Mateo's heads up, Nick Schulman, Shannon Shore, Pedro Neves at the final table, and another crusher. I'm so sorry, whoever else it was, but it's insane that Rampage won, and congratulations to him. It's such an accomplishment.
He's on a rampage.
Yeah, it was a hybrid tournament, right? They started online and then played out the final table. And then you had Michael Mizrahi taking down another bracelet after winning the main event PPC last year, Poker Hall of Fame. His 9th bracelet. It's funny, we only had one player who had 9 bracelets coming into this summer, right? And in the last week, we had, I think, 3 people join him.
Yeah, Benny Glauser too.
Yeah.
So Rocky, Deeb, and Benny.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Mizrahi taking down the $10,000 PLO championship. But Deeb here says he's going to catch Phil Hellmuth in 17 bracelets. We have a very short winner interview with him. Check it out.
Shaun, after so many runner-up finishes, how much does this feel like a monkey off your back?
I mean, it's not. I know the variance in poker. I, could have easily have lost this heads-up match. Could have won the other ones. So I just show up every day, play my game, and hopefully end up with all the chips like I did today.
So is your 9th WSOP bracelet putting you in pretty elite company? What does that mean to you?
I mean, I'm gonna pass Phil. I've been saying that for years. So every year, I could have been a lot closer. I could have been a lot further ahead. Some other guys with 9 or 8 or 7, but show up every day, play every event, play every buy-in, and sometimes you win.
You had that match against Dean. You got pretty low there. How did you come back and win? What was the turning point for you?
I mean, I just made the nuts a bunch of hands. Like, I called a huge check raise in PLO with a straight draw and flush draw, and I made both. And then, I had a few other hands where I just had it.
Put you at the top of the Player of the Year rankings. You already won it twice. How much is a goal of that of yours?
I've always wanted to go back-to-back. A week ago or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, really didn't think I have a shot. But, it's probably the closest Player of the Year race that there ever has been. And there's so many top players at it. So, just having the lead every day, one of the, top 10 guys is going to cash and leapfrog or get a final table or get a win.
Your K Omaha, you won that event last year. How much are you looking forward to continuing the grind at the WSOP?
I mean, it's the same every day. Win or lose, I show up here and I play everything. So, but I got to run to the triple draw. So I'm sorry, guys.
Thank you, Shaun.
Hey, do me a favor. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. That's 3 episodes from the WSOP every week. Do me a favor right now. Click subscribe.
Right, congratulations to Shaun Deeb. He is now on top of the WSOP Player of the Year leaderboard, 2,816 points ahead of Alex Foxen, who has 2,721. A lot of poker to be played. A lot of people up there. It's one of the tighter races. Yeah, less than 400 points separate the top 6 players there. So this one's going to be a year-long race for sure.
Yeah, main event, 3K Taurus. There's a bunch of stuff that's left that all these guys are going to play that I think will be. It's exciting that it's a tight race. I was worried that the Europe aspect, the Bahamas aspect would kind of skew it, and Vegas wouldn't matter as much. Deeb coming in with the big lead, but it hasn't been that. We've got a really tight race, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Deeb, of course, nominated for
the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about the Hall of Fame after the nominees came out and kind of gave our guesses of who would go in. Deeb was on all of our lists. And I think after a ninth bracelet, he's probably a shoo-in. But wanted to ask Mr. Matt Savage about the Hall of Fame.
Who knows if the votes were already in by this point?
Yeah.
I think he was having a pretty bad summer.
Yeah,
so
that's
he
true.
might not have been on top of everybody's list to start, but
But I wanted to ask too. I mean, I know we'll get into this about kind of the new Hall of Fame. This year, obviously, public voting decides the nominees.
Nope,
No,
not true.
Yeah.
No, public, it's not true.
Not true.
It has an input. They'll take it into consideration, basically.
Oh, I thought it was public voting and then the living members voting.
Nope.
Shows what I know.
No, dude,
Cut that part.
Yeah, the Illuminati of the WSOP are deciding everything.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll release those votes though and let everybody know who was actually in the top 8, won't they?
They should. I would hope so.
No, I doubt that they will. Yeah.
They should, as I said. They are
won't.
apparently going to release the actual voting, though, by the living Hall of Fame member.
Yeah.
Well, let me set the stage, because you and I have talked about this many times. Let me start by first asking, do you feel snubbed?
Snubbed. If I was in the top 8 in voting, then I feel like I would be snubbed.
Right.
I feel like I was probably in the top 8, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Because I think nobody's been nominated more than you, right?
Mike Madison.
Mike Madison, yeah, but you two.
He's 13 this year, I think, and I'm 10. The only 2 years of the last 12 that I have been nominated are both times they took it in-house. This year and in 2019.
Yeah, so that's what I kind of wanted to touch upon. A lot of people don't know this. The background involving you in the Poker Hall of Fame is back in the day, the media had a vote. And I was one of the voting members. And in 2019, the two people who got in were David Oppenheim, high stakes crusher. And he was really pushed by the living Hall of Fame members, that play the high stakes. And then Chris Moneymaker, who was pushed more by the media. And I don't think Moneymaker gets in there unless it was for the media. And I don't know if that created
Which is wild, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if that created a schism, because the following year they got rid of the media vote and kept it only living Hall of Fame members. And in 2020, there was only one inductee, which was Huckseed, which was especially heartbreaking because, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had the second most votes that year. And if they would have stuck to the formula of 2 of the year, you would have been in that year.
Yeah, I've been told by a few people that might have been the reason why they went from 2 to 1.
Yeah.
It was that year, and
Really?
they kind of kept it at that. And Gary Thompson, over the years, who was a media director for the World Series Poker, told me that I finished runner-up a bunch of times in those years. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it, and I know you got a lot of support on social media with people. Like, you deserve to be in the Poker Hall of Fame.
it's it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I think the encouraging. First of all, I agree. Obviously, you're one of my good friends, and we've all busted balls here and there over the years. But I think we all agreed that you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm encouraged by the new changes. Obviously, it's not perfect, but I think that this shows that they're willing to take more people, and hopefully that part of the changes and part of kind of all right, we're open to new things is industry people having their own, whether it's category or once a year, we make sure that an industry person is recognized and put in there, et cetera. Because I think it's easy to obviously, look, we're going to have so many 40-year-olds who have won 9 bracelets or 8 bracelets or whatever. It's going to be hard to not put all those people in. But as this starts to happen and as we get such a backlog, it's just going to make the industry and media and kind of that side of it, more and more pushed down the list. And I think even in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you see coaches and broadcasters and people get in. So I hope that this evolution and this openness to at least changing provides some, media people in there, some industry people in there, and if there's anyone at the top of the list, it's you.
I think several things are an issue. I mean, I think that when you only let one person in, the big problem is that most of the voters are going to be voting for a player. They want to have a player in.
He cashed the Raz last year, 1,500 Raz. All right.
I cashed this year's also.
Oh, okay, yeah.
50% of the tournaments I played this year, I cashed.
That's right. So look, we can't
that
say
high
we
percentage
can't
for you
play.
guys?
That's pretty fucking high.
No,
yeah.
but there's no one who outside of I would guess, I don't know who, but everyone should think you should get in. This is crazy at this point. There's no reason why you shouldn't be in. I think there's obviously some sort of weird things going on. I mean, I don't know. It seems like you've alluded to that as well. It doesn't seem like it makes much sense to me.
I mean, I'm not as much as weird as it's, based on the fact that the players are going to be first to get in, of course. The fact that they lowered the age to 40 years old, I think that has a big part of it. There's so many good and great players that are coming in at 40. I always say that my biggest issue with the 40-year-old is how do you stand the test of time at 40 years old, right? These guys were 5 years old when I started in this industry.
Yeah.
So think about that. being around this industry for 35 years when they were 5 years old, and the fact that those guys are, going to get in because they know a lot of the players that are voting and people that are voting. But, I have other issues with it as well. I think there's not enough international representation.
That.
A lot of the old school guys are completely forgotten and will never get in. And, it's one of those things that, it is highly based on World Series of Poker results. There's
no reason. It's the World Series of Poker Hall of Fame for the most part.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's part of it also. I did have a pretty big footprint in the World Series back in the day. I was the tournament director in 2002, 3, and 4, and was in the picture with Moneymaker when he won. And, I think a lot of the positive changes that came to the World Series of Poker, I instituted when I was back there back in the day. So, I know that they're doing a fantastic job with what they're doing with the World Series of Poker. I always give them a ton of respect, and I think it's the most important festival of the year, obviously, the one during the summer. So, it's sad that it's kind of been a divide because of, this little logo right here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Am I approved to wear this logo?
You are.
Yeah.
So
we're going to tape over it in post.
So that part of it's sad, but I think that the fact that my name gets brought up every year is kind of a nice thing. Once you actually get into the Hall of Fame, people kind of forget that you were even in there, right? To be honest, they kind of forget. It's not really promoted as much as I think it should be. I think that all of those guys, whenever they're recognized or interviewed or anything, that should always start off with Hall of Famer Daniel Negreanu, Hall of Famer Phil Hellmuth. I think that would be something that's great. I think in all other sports, they do that. They start off with Hall of Famer. And I think once you actually get in, you kind of lose some of that credibility.
I do want to talk about the 8 nominees and just get your take here, and yours as well. So I did seek clarification, by the way the voting works is the Living Hall of Fame members can vote a single vote to up to 4 people, right? So it's not you have 4 votes to allot as you see fit. It's I could award one to Mike because I feel he should get in, one to Savage, one to Ben, and I don't have to award the 4th. Or I could just award one and leave it at that.
Okay.
It's so that's how it works. So you got Jason Kuhn, Isai Scheinberg, Justin Bonomo, Chris Moorman, Ike Haxton, Mike Matisow, Scott Seaver, Shaun Deeb. Savage is somebody who is very tied into the poker world and is familiar with all these guys. Are you awarding 4 votes to 4 different people? Do you think it should be less than that? Who are you thinking?
I think for the most part, everybody's going to award 4 votes, but I definitely think that Kuhn, if you're going to do like the fact that he's 40, and if we had like a Sandy Koufax rule, which means that you're so dominant for a certain amount of time, he would be the guy. Ike Haxton, of course. Scott Seaver, in my opinion, is definitely a shoo-in and should be like part of the other thing that they talked about was playing at the highest stakes for a long time. And so I think that is all a part of it. It's a weird concept to me that you can have this many bracelets and this much success in cash games and yet not be nominated. So I think that, those are the guys I think should be in already. Of course, there are how many new 40-year-olds in that list right now? So
at least 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Well, what there should be more Osmus, et cetera.
What about Deeb?
Yeah.
We talked about
I love
Deeb.
Obviously.
Deeb's great. I think that Deeb has, built his success around the World Series of Poker, and the fact that his volume is so high, he's going to probably pass Hellmuth. I don't doubt that at all. So at 40 years old, I don't think so, but he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. We say between Deeb and you like Benny to overtake him.
I think Benny Glauser is the best poker player to ever live. I really do.
Best tournament player for sure.
Yeah, best tournament player. My apologies. I don't know anything about cash.
And for years, Phil Hellmuth was the best no-limit Hold'em tournament player in the world. And of course, he's a Hall of Famer, right? 17 bracelets and all that success. But a lot of the people that were voting at the time said he doesn't play cash games. He doesn't play at the highest stakes. And therefore, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Because that's what it used to be about. But it's not anymore. It's changed. It's way more about tournaments now, which should be good for me as well. Because, I'm
you should be in. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let's be honest.
It's okay.
I mean, is there a change you would make? Like today, if they said, all right, Matt Savage, we want your input. We want you to help us kind of make this the best version of the Hall of Fame. Is there something you would change?
Yeah, I think you could just clear the backlog.
Yeah.
You pretty much clear the backlog. But again, that doesn't give those players that are getting in at that time the kind of, big a push that they may have gotten had they got in with 1 or 2 or 3 players. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a backlog of people in there that, should be in already, I think.
You mentioned tournaments, and obviously that's your bread and butter. You just came yesterday, as we're recording this, from the Tournament Directors Association Summit, the TDA Summit. I think it was the 12th one, but this was the 25th anniversary of the TDA. Started in 2001. I think just 4 of you. There's 4 founding members.
Yep. That's me, Linda Johnson, Jan Fisher, and Dave Lamb.
Yeah.
Started in 2001.
And I think when I read, only 24 people attended that that year. And then this year it was a packed house. I don't know how many were there. But
24 people, 1 international person, and this year we had over 30 countries represented in the room. And about 200 people, which was our biggest by far.
Yeah, it was quite the scene. We're going to show a video in a minute here of some highlights from that. We caught up with some TDs from around the country and stuff. But how are you feeling about the TDA Summit as a whole this year? Was it productive?
I think it was way more productive than years past. I think there was more issues that come up. There was a lot of discussion about etiquette and the amount of talk that's going on at the table.
Can you smoke cigarettes at the table?
You cannot smoke cigarettes nor pocket chips. However, I heard that somebody said that somebody pocketed chips yesterday and got back in the tournament. I don't know how that happened.
I heard something, yeah.
So that's a story for another
You and Mike
time.
can talk for an hour after
I hadn't
about
heard.
all the
It's
things
not
he
confirmed.
heard.
This is alleged. Part of the thing is, with the etiquette and stuff, Poker News and that other place, Poker.org, they cover Martin Cabral almost constantly.
It's so
and I'm sure now
frustrating.
that Kasouf's in town, you guys are going to have all the cameras on him, which is
I played
ridiculous
with him.
to me.
I played
Why?
with him and nobody brought the cameras over. I was calling him William the whole time. It was great. You guys, there's something about being like, listen here, William. Like, I don't know. It's a good ring.
It's we've had this conversation internally at Poker News a lot because I really don't want to cover it as much as we end up doing it. It's not my call per se, but this is also, we need traffic so you get sponsors so we can have a show, right? And the numbers do bear out that people are
Or you could all just
watching.
eat more Think Jerky and we'd have
Well,
plenty of
the
shows.
problem is that half the people think it's great, and the other half people think it's the worst thing ever. So there's
Very
no
polarizing.
middle ground. It's very polarizing.
It's a very polarizing world that we live in these days. Back to the TDA real quick. I know that tours and venues across the world use TDA as their go-to source. You had some great sponsors this year. I know Poker Atlas was there.
Yeah.
You can list a few others if you want to.
Lux and Pay was there. Chipco, Gorilla Gaming, also a sponsor. A company called WPT threw in some sponsor bags and things like that. But we had some sponsors. Of course, we'd like more, and pretty much everybody we asked did it. But it's not a for-profit organization. We just like to cover the cost of everything we do. Poker Go Studio, a big sponsor of us as well, gave us the venue to do that and helped out a lot with the tech. So the fact that they were there was a great addition as well. We can't have it if we don't have a venue.
One of the big things, because I was sitting in as this conversation was happening, was regarding kind of late registration. How do you get people to start coming in sooner? What's too long to push it? And this is kind of relevant because I can't remember what tournament it is. You guys probably know, but it was just the other day.
The 5K?
Yeah, the 5K
Paz
Six Max.
was on my direct left. Me and Paz talked with us for a whole hour while it was happening. It's insane.
What happened? Yeah.
Okay, so this is what happens, okay? Max late registration's gotten completely out of control where they're so plus EV to register at the last moment that you'd be a fool not to if you don't have a skill edge earlier. So if you have no skill edge, you can generate an edge in EV, expected value. It's profitable to max late reg and just try to make it to the min cash and try to run up a stack. So there's 300 people, I believe, in the tournament. Max late reg happens. Me and 198 other people registered. Now, you can't just sit all of us at a max late reg table. That's not fair to the field, obviously.
Right.
If that happened, I would have texted you immediately and been like, savage help! And which I have done during this series before as well, during egregious rulings. I digress. They had to redraw the entire field. They weren't prepared. I literally, as a floor walked by, there was 7 minutes left, and I was number 123. And I literally went, there's 123 players waiting. And he went, waiting for what? And just kept walking. I was like, uh-oh. So it was so long. I don't want to say how long, if it was 25 or 30 minutes after break, but it was incredibly crazy. We had a full
redraw, right?
Every single table, everyone picked up their chips and then walked together at the same time. It was fucking chaos. There's dudes in there who are filming like this and they're walking slow, and I'm just like,
this is Men the Master's dream. We're all just walking around with chips amongst us.
I saw he was under the table like Smeagol, just going around like, it was crazy. Don't quote me on that. I mean, you guys could see the footage of the cameras and impaired.
Yeah, Kenny Hollard, who is on the board of the TDA as well as a player and not also an organizer. basically came up with an article a few years ago that kind of opened the eyes to, like, I feel like everybody to say that it is so much positive EV to do this, to sign up late. It's a problem.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many big blinds were left at that time, but
20?
I heard it was
Probably.
less than 20.
13, 12.3 or 13.3, I think, something like that. I think it was, I don't want to quote exactly, but somewhere between under 15 and more than 10.
Well, and we see this too at the highest stakes the most. I mean, it's not like, oh, everyone's coming in the Millie Maker and max late regging because of all the EV. It's the 5Ks, the 100Ks, the 25Ks. So it sort of starts to skew some of our most prestigious, biggest high roller events too. If you can reg on day 2, like 3 hours in, and it's like half the field is coming from that, I mean, then it just sort of, I don't know, it kind of delegitimizes the tournament or the prestige of some of these tournaments.
That's the other thing that we talked about, the fact that, people that sign up on time or they're at the start of the tournament are kind of disadvantaged too, because now they have to play on, 3, 4, 5-handed tables for a certain amount of time, which is awful for those guys because they're the ones that are signing up early. They want the experience of playing from the start. So it's not just the World Series. They're not the only ones that are doing it. Even down in Florida, we have tables that are sitting there waiting for people to come to the table. So they signed up on time.
Yeah.
They don't get to start because everybody is late registering or registering after the tournament starts. And so it's not fair to those guys either. Not only that, you have the players that are sitting at your table. Now your table finally gets 7, 8, 9-handed, and all of a sudden they come over, we're going to high card you and take you to a different table.
Sure.
You finally have the table that you're comfortable at. You get pulled. Why did you get pulled? Because people are late registering.
Any
That's
1,500
why.
mix event, 6 hours in, you've been at 8 different tables because they're just constantly...
That was just one of the topics that we talked about. I actually caught up with a bunch of the TDs that were there in a little highlight video I want to show. Check it out.
Chad Holloway outside PokerGo studio in Las Vegas for this year's TDA Summit. We're going to go inside, check it out, see what rule changes might be in store, and talk to some of the TDs.
We had a lot of fun. We had a ton of people coming in. I think we had over 150 people total that came over across the 2 days. So it's wonderful to see all those people come out. We had a number of people watching on the live stream as well. It's always a lot of fun when we can get together and go super nitty on all the different nuances and wrinkles.
Couple great things that were brought up. So chip penalties was new, something I'd never heard about.
It was just 2 days ago. I just brought it up. I didn't ask for it to be a rule or anything, and they all just loved it.
So you can come to them and say, hey, we've talked to you about this has happened. It's going to be a small blind penalty, so they continue to play, but hopefully that curbs behavior and gets them to be a little more alert.
I think the advantages are really good advantages. For example, you can't ladder up.
Right.
I've always hated that. You can't ladder up when you're when you're in the money.
Yeah.
It's not fair to that table that person is not there. You can't win his chips. You can't win their chips. It's not fair on the blinds. So there's a number of advantages which I've always really enjoyed.
Well, we talk about things like a length of registration being long and things that are not necessarily solvable in 2 days, but we'll all go back to our respective properties and take a look at different things like that, like length of registration, how to start a tournament when only 16 people show up but 150 people play, things like that. So it's good discussion.
We had discussions over how to potentially deal with out-of-turn action. We had some discussions around electronic devices because that's obviously going to become, it's going to get bigger and bigger as we go.
Something I really like is we made it kind of official that your chips have to be in stacks of 20. It's something that was a recommended procedure before, and it was something that didn't always happen, but it is something that I think is very good for poker. It makes it easier to estimate the stacks.
As a poker reporter, I'm all about that.
It makes the game move a lot smoother. That one is probably my favorite.
I am so excited that we spent several hours talking about mixed games. Mixed games are being played all over, and I'm telling you, mix is, it's inching up. It's gonna take over soon.
And we didn't make any major changes, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Nothing major was necessary, so we just try to improve on what we have.
All right, there you go. Thank you to all those who spoke with us at the TDA. Got 2 more years now, Matt, and then there'll be another one.
Absolutely. We're going to be Asia later this year and probably
That's
in Latin
right.
America as well. So we're going to move it around, and the TDA is continuing to grow, and we're happy that everywhere we go, they're using the Tournament Directors Association.
We have Matt right now, real quick, before we end this episode. What's one topic you want him and the TDA to consider in the future? You'll be happy to hear it. Some of them were talking about the deal.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Just like the dealing and that's basically dealer training. I guess I feel like needs to be improved around the country. Like I just feel like the dealers could be more prepared coming into major events. Cough.
Yes.
Yes. And I mean, the late reg issue is the one for me. And we've seen, PokerGo has done a few things to try and incentivize people to be there on time. The Venetian, and maybe it was part of the MSBT, where they were like, oh, you get $100 rake reduction if you're there within the first hour or first 30 minutes or something. Or if you're on time at PokerGo events, your first bullet is rake free.
Late reg, 30 big blinds.
Yeah,
there
or just cap
40
it.
big blinds.
Something like that. That kind of
Savage average, Matt Savage.
There you go.
Hey, I got second in the first ever Savage
Yes,
average
you did.
tournament. I was there, baby.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we can do, but in the end, it's the organizations that want the revenue for people to late regents. Those things. It's tough to fight, but
so you can't put the reentries back into Pandora's box.
Definitely, I started those in 2010, and I kind of regret it at times. I think that it has been a great addition to poker, but it's also been a negative one, in my opinion.
Well, I'd like to get into that more, but unfortunately we have run out of time. It is going to do it for episode 982 of the Poker News Podcast. We are coming up on episode 1,000, and we're going to do some sort of big celebration. You'll definitely get an invitation to that if you're in town. But Matt Savage, really appreciate you taking the time. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, give us the 5-star review. We're back 3 times a week throughout the 2026 World Series of Poker. We'll be back on Saturday with a brand new episode. We're actually going to up it. This is news to you guys maybe too, to 4 episodes throughout July to get us to that 1,000 mark. So we have Ryan Crow coming up on Sunday in a conversation about Texas poker.
Nice. By the way, labor laws, they don't exist anymore. You're all slaves.
I'm Chad Holloway, Ben Ludlow, Mike Holtz, and Matt Savage. Until then, we'll keep a seat open for you.